All right, what's up, guys? You just got off the belt sander. You should have seen that video already, whether you wanted to or not. Just showing you how I rough out my pipe stems. And obviously, before you rough it out, you want to drill it, turn the tenon face, slot, funnel, all that good stuff. Slot's about a millimeter high, pretty standard. And I'm going to be using some industry standard measurements, the measurements that have been developed and proven over time to be the most comfortable for the most people. If you have a specific commission for a specific customer, or your own specific style, and you want to use different dimensions, that's up to you. What I'm going to do is going to get about 1/4 inch high on the button and about 15/100 of an inch thick behind the button in the bite zone. This is the file that I mentioned in the post, and you will see that it's got 2 safe edges. If I can find a file that does not have safe edges. Okay. This file right here does not have safe edges, so it will cut on the edges as well as on the face. But this is the particular file in question that I use for the stem, and it's got safe edges, so it won't cut on this edge or that edge. My edges have been polished. They start out looking like this. After you use them for many years, they get really shiny. So what we're going to do is, you can see I've got marked in marker my center line here that lines up with the plane of the slot. I'm going to cut down to that line eventually. Ooh, let's hope I can keep this in frame. Just bump my camera. I put an X here on the bench, but I'm going to try to keep it in frame here. So I'm going to put my safe edge down, so I'm not cutting down, I'm cutting forward rather than down, and I'm going to cut the back of this button. I'm going to thin it out because it's pretty thick right now. Just take a couple of strokes at a time. Don't get it too thin. If you have a little bit more height to work with here, obviously it'll cut slower because you're cutting more material. Just keep an eye on it. So then I'm going to turn it so that the safe edge is here. So now I'm not cutting the back of the button anymore. I'm cutting the bite zone, and I'm cutting down. And what I'm going to do is make just a gentle arc, right? Just gentle. You want it to be mostly flat, but just a gentle arc. And we're going to cut down to that line that I made there. Now if I were to cut straight across from that line to this line, then I would end up cutting into my slot. But I'm not cutting straight across, I'm making an arc. Just slightly. Just a happy little arc. I'm going to look at this from the side, and I've got a ton of material still left there. Now if you look at the top of the slot there and the top of the stem behind the button in the bite zone, and we already know that the slot's about 1 millimeter tall, so there's probably almost 2 millimeters of material left there above the slot in the bite zone. So it's nowhere near thin enough yet. So I'm going to cut straight down on that. And arc it again. Take a look at it again. Sorry, I'm looking at it this way. I know you guys are looking at it that way. You can see it's a little thinner. It's getting there. Of course, as you cut down, you want to smooth out this taper. So we're going to work this way to smooth out that taper, right? And we're going to cut that way to thin out the bite zone. Getting a little closer. Just takes a little time and patience. You can see the back of the button getting a little ugly again, so you can again put your file on edge so that the safe edge is touching the bite zone and that you're filing the back side of the button. And just kind of clean that up a little bit. You see that little gouge there, and that gouge is going to come out eventually. It's just going back and forth. Fan it out a little more. Alright, it's getting pretty close. So now what I want to do is take the back of that button down. See how thick that button is right there? I want to take that down and even it out. It's a little short on this side, a little taller on this side. You'll remove material really quick like this. So just do a little bit and check it. A little bit and check it. I'm getting close, so I'm checking it more often. That's about the profile you want on the back of that button right there. So we've essentially got one side done. Well, not done, but it's where we need it at the moment. So we're going to flip it over and do the top now. This is still only roughed out. Take a drink, sorry. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to try to match it up. So as I file this down, sorry, I'm trying to look at the camera. There we go. So as I file this down, I want it to match up right here. I'm going to file that down to here. Right? Make sense? Same on this side. I want to file this down to match up with that. It might be that I file a little bit too far and I got to go back and file the other side. Hopefully not too much. You can see, since this file, this is a great cutting file. It cuts quick, cuts nice and smooth. It's got that safe edge. So that's where I need it to be. I'm going to clean this up when I turn the file this way to file down the bite zone. That's about where I want it to be. All right. Let's file down the bite zone. You can see how tall the button is on the back side in relation to the bite zone of the stem. See the bite zone go down and the button get taller as I file that thickness away. Yeah, I've got a ways to go here. Don't be afraid to take your time. I tend to get a little aggressive because time is money, and the aggressiveness will come with practice. So again, what we're going to shoot for is less than 15 hundredths of an inch in the bite zone behind the button, and about a quarter of an inch tall on the button. You don't really want to go thicker than that because then it feels chunky to the customer in general. And again, I'm talking about in general for most customers. And you can go a little thinner than that, but keep in mind that if you go too thin, it's going to wear through quickly. If you don't cut into your airway, it's going to wear through quickly into the airway, and you'll have an unhappy customer. You can see just how tall that button's getting back there. How much we've cut away of this. Again, I've rotated my file so that the safe edge is towards the bite zone. I'm working the back of the button again, smooth it out. Let's see what this looks like. We're getting close as far as the thickness. If I had to guess, I'd say we're probably about 0.18. We're going to take a look at it right now. Zero this out, I think. Uh, 0.173, 0.172. I might overestimate a little bit, but we're getting close. And if you look, you'll see, I don't know if you can tell, the top is still just a little bit thicker than the bottom right now. So as I get close to that measurement that I want, I'm going to take it off of the top. But if I'm still not at the measurement that I want and the top's getting thinner than the bottom, then I'll turn it around and take more off the bottom. Just keep it even. The great thing about this file, though, is the way that it cuts. It's small, so as not to be overbearing. I like to choke up on it a bit. As you can see, I'm not holding it. The tail end of the file is way back here, outside of my hand. So I choke up on it a bit, get some good control. I don't have it in a handle or anything. It's not huge, so you can have that control. It's got those safe edges and it cuts great, really nice and clean. Alright, that probably put me close to that 15 hundredths. It felt like it did, but I'm still at a 16 almost 17 hundredths. That's better than being too thin. I'm going to take a little more off the bottom now. I'm just going to keep that slight arch to the back. It's not, I don't know if I can, it's not completely flat. It's just got a slight rock to it, right? Just slight. If you haven't done so, I encourage you to go to a pipe show, especially one where, say, smokingpipes.com is. Visit their table, look at their handmade pipes, and inspect them. Inspect the stems, inspect the buttons, and see what they've got going on there. And try to figure out how to mimic that. Because most of these guys have spent a lot of time and taken a lot of feedback and put in a lot of effort into developing a button that is comfortable for the vast majority of the people. And it's a good place to take some cues from. See where we're at now. 0.158. About even on the top and the bottom. We'll probably remove a little bit of material each way. All right, 0.152. I'm going to leave that there because I'll probably shave 2 thousandths off while I'm sanding it. I'm just going to smooth out this taper. I'm going to file down. You can see the back side. That's the top where I haven't filed down the back of the button yet. That's the bottom. So I'm going to make the top look like the bottom. Giving it just a slight curve again. And I think that's pretty close. So now, if you look at the profile of the button there, right, button, bite zone, button. If you look at the profile of the button there, you can see it's just flat. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of bevel that on the top and the bottom. I'll do the top there first. Hope you can see that. Nice bevel on the top there. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom, bevel the bottom there. It's still flat. So I've got both the top and the bottom beveled. So what I want to do is, you can see where it's still rough up here. I'm going to smooth that a little more, but I've actually still got some work to do on this joint. This 3/4 part right here, so this is the side, that's the bottom, and right in here, this 3/4 part, that tends to gather a bunch of material. A lot of newer or inexperienced pipe makers tend to leave a lot of material there. I had a struggle with that myself for a long time, so be sure to pay attention to these little 3/4 areas and make sure you even out that material and take off enough material there. Sometimes your file will load up. Just a second. I was using it elsewhere in the shop. Toothbrush is a good thing to have. Kind of helps clean out your file when it feels like it's loading up. You need it to continue cutting. It's an old toothbrush. So yeah, that's the gist of it. So you've got a nice, use my toothbrush to get rid of some of that dust so we can see what's going on here. Okay, so we've got a nice sharp edge behind that button. Got a nice taper on the top and the bottom of the button. Helps it feel a little softer on the tongue. And if it feels softer on the tongue, it feels more comfortable, it feels a little lighter. Got a nice sharp edge there to catch the teeth behind it so that it doesn't fall out. Doesn't feel all slip slidey. Now another thing real quick. I'm just going to grab, okay, well, this is like 1500, but it doesn't matter. When you go to sand this, and you start behind the button, I like to fold my sandpaper in half. And kind of push it right up behind the button there, and then go back and forth. Start sand, actually, tell you what. Oh, hang on. Get my 220, we'll actually take a couple of strokes out of that. Okay, so I got my 220. fold it in half, crease it nice and sharp. So I like to get right in behind the button, and we'll go straight across. Again, rocking it, right? Just slightly, rocking it as we sand. You don't really want to push too far towards the button. You don't want to dig into the button. You do want to keep it right there so you can sand right behind the button, right? But also, we don't want to sand a channel through there. We want to keep this nice smooth taper. So once you've got behind the button, then you want to work it diagonally a little bit, kind of alternate. You can see diagonally, then right behind the button, straight across, diagonally, right behind the button. I'll do both sides like that. Brush that off, as you can see. So I'll do both sides like that. Do that until you've made sure you've got all the file marks out. And then for me, after I do both sides like that, I will go straight up and down. Just push it right up against the back of the button. And of course I'll turn it and get the sides. Alright, do both sides like that, all the way around, turn it, get the sides. You can actually see some file marks left there. Right. So I'd go back and hit that, make sure that's out. So then your button itself, you want to preserve that bevel that you put on there. But since that's such a thin strip of material right there, it doesn't need much sanding. See if I can do this with the camera in the way. It's not going to take much. Oh, sorry, I'm hitting the camera. Make sure you roll it just slightly. You want to keep the geometry of that bevel there. All right, so that's pretty close to sanded, as opposed to the other side, which has not been sanded. And then just work your way up through the progression of papers. Of course, you know, sand all the way around, sand the face of it. Try to keep everything even, top, bottom, right? All right, so that's pretty much it. I hope that's helped. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll try to answer them. If there's something else I need to show you in video, I'll do that as well. I'm happy to assist. Just let me know. Hope you enjoyed it, and good luck.